Excellent!
What's up guys, and welcome back to Paul's Hardware. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing of this graphics card right here. This is the EVGA GTX 770 4GB ACX classified dual BIOS edition. I'm actually going to be doing a couple unboxings this week because I'm leading up to my personal system rebuild in the Corsair 760T right over there behind me. So on with the show. So here's a closer look at the retail box, and this is obviously the 4GB model, which means it has twice as much memory as the standard GeForce GTX 770, which is important to me. I went with it instead of the R9 290, which is probably the best AMD side solution to this graphics card. The 290 would have been faster for just pure gaming, but I use Adobe Premiere very, very often, and as a result, I'm actually also using the older version of Adobe Premiere that still requires an NVIDIA card for the CUDA acceleration that you can get with the Mercury playback engine. So that's why I'm going with this card. Also the 4GB frame buffer because I have a 2560 by 1600 monitor, and I wanted more memory because I have been passing the 2 gigs that I have on my current graphics card, which is a Asus GTX 670 DirectCU2, which is a very good card, but I'm glad to be upgrading. Also a GTX 780 could have been a great option for me as well. Definitely would have been faster, but again, bit more expensive, and with the 780 you get 3 gigs instead of 4 gigs. And I like the 4 gigs for GPU compute stuff like I do with the Adobe Premiere. But while I'm doing that, I can tell you that the NVIDIA GTX 770 is based on GK104 GPU, which is actually the same GPU that's used in like the GTX 680, although the 770 version of it is very, very juiced, and they put a lot of extra special sauce in there. So it's GK104, 28 nanometer manufacturing process, Kepler GPU architecture, and it's got 1,536 CUDA cores. First off in this retail box is a poster from EVGA, which is way too big for me to show you here, but look at that dude there. He looks pretty mean. Alright, totally need to buy a frame for that. Also we have graphics card user's guide right there, so pretty standard SLI installation tutorial from EVGA. We have a driver disc right there, as well as an EVGA case badge. I'll consider putting that on my case. We have attention, graphics cards get hot. We have a GTX 700 series more specific installation guide. We have an important notice about the UEFI BIOS and whatnot. This has the dual BIOS on it, which is kind of a cool feature. Getting back to that in a second, but you got some stickers there from EVGA, and then, oh gosh, look at all these accessories. Whoa, even more documentation. Important message. Yes, so this has an actual switch on it for the BIOS selection, since it's got a dual BIOS, so there's how you turn it off or on. I have the 770 classified, so my switch is going to be on the side of the card. That's useful to know. Since this is a classified card and they use bin GPUs for faster clock speeds, they're very popular for actually buying them, removing the cooler, and then putting on your own thing, so they give you a little aftermarket cooling strip here for the VRMs, which is actually very nice to have, because that's something that can go overlooked sometimes. They've also given some premium EVGA accessories here in the form of some SLI, or I'm sorry, some PCI Express graphics power adapters, which I will not be using, I don't think. They are nicely sleeved though. Can't even see any of the heat shrink there. You get a couple of those. There's 6 pins to 8 pins, and then you have a VGA to DVI adapter, or DVI to VGA adapter. This is a classified edition, which means you get fancier packaging, including nice closed cell foam, all that good stuff, and of course the card itself. Which, hold on, give me a moment. Good lord, that is really wedged down in there. Okay, all right. That thing's heavy. So the card itself comes in EVGA Super Premium Electromagnetic Shielding Bag. I'm going to go ahead and break the seal on that one and pull it out. But continuing my rundown of specs, you get 1,536 CUDA cores on this particular card, 1,150 megahertz base clock, and a boost clock of 1,202. And my suspicion is that it will actually go up even higher than that. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of the plasticiness that you get on EVGA cards, which is really easy to forget about. So if you get one of these cards, don't forget to remove these little plastic protection strips from the gold blingy parts that have your logos and whatnot. And then also we got some on the fans, which can be delicate because I don't want to push down too hard on the fans, that you could potentially damage them. So now that the plastic is off, here's a quick measurement. As you can see, it's about 11 inches long, and another thing measurement-wise to point out is that you have actually about an inch, about 1 3/4 inches of extra height up above the actual PCI bracket, which isn't going to be a problem in most computer cases, but it is something to take into consideration. The ACX cooler features two 90mm fans there at the center and a really massive aluminum fin stack, so that's how EVGA is getting additional cooling on their classified edition of these cards, since they are running at higher frequencies out of the box to make sure that everything stays nice and cool. And I do like the EVGA ACX cooler. I think they did a pretty good job with it. And since this one's classified, it has gold bling instead of the silver, and it says cool words like classified on the side. 1150 megahertz base clock, 1202 megahertz boost clock, and a 147.2 gigatexels per second texture fill rate, which is pretty cool. Also, that 4096 megabytes of GDDR5 memory is on a 256-bit bus, and it runs at 7010 megahertz effective speed, so that gives you a total memory bandwidth of 224.32 gigabytes per second. Pretty fast. You can see some of the memory chips there. Also, since it's a GTX 770, you get like support for physics, CUDA, adaptive VSync, TXAA, FXAA, DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 support, OpenGL 4.4, OpenCL, and up to 3-way SLI. For some reason, they didn't want to do 4-way SLI like you could do with the 680, but you do have 2 SLI bridges there at the top, so up to 3-way is supported via the drivers from NVIDIA. It does, of course, support PCI Express Gen 3, which gives you additional bandwidth. And for your video outs at the back, you have a DVI-D and a DVI-I. So the DVI-D is digital only. DVI-I will have the little adapters right there for analog connection, so you can use that DVI to VGA adapter. And then also more video outs in the form of a HDMI 1.4 and DisplayPort 1.2. I'm going to be using a 2560 by 1600 monitor, so I'll be fine with the DVIs. HDMI 1.4 can do 4K, but only at 30 Hz. Then DisplayPort can do 4K natively at 60 Hz, which is totally much better. Apart from that, you're also going to want a 600 watt power supply minimum for this graphics card. I have a 1200 watt, so I should be good. And you need a 12 volt current rating of 42 amps. You have two 8-pin PCI Express graphics connectors. Again, since this is a classified overclocked edition, they kind of went overkill on that. The total power draw on this card is 250 watts, which is just up about 20 watts from the reference GTX 770. So there's a quick rundown of the box contents and specs and whatnot for this EVGA GeForce GTX 770 classified 4GB ACX edition. Pretty sweet card. Pretty nice looking aesthetically. I'll of course be installing this and testing it and all that good stuff when I get my personal system build redone. So stay tuned for that coming very soon. But don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next time.